Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. I hope you're all doing very well this Friday evening. Paul Pogba about to sign a new contract at Manchester United. We'll be discussing that and the likelihood of it happening and what the news is around that. We'll also be talking about this Koulibaly rumour, which I think is really weird and probably quite encouraging as well. Who is the unknown striker that Manchester United are looking at? And we'll also be looking at a comparison between Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba. Plus, I just want to say as well, one of these things I'm lying about and two of them I think are true. Bruno's better than Pogba. Rashford's as good as Neymar on his day. And Newcastle aren't as big a club as Southampton. I'll be telling you which two of those I think are true and which one's a lie a little bit later on. I also want to remind you that the link is in the video description for our donation page. Tomorrow from midday, we're teaming up with Arsenal Fan TV to do a 24-hour stream to raise money for the NHS. This will be 24-hour streams. We've got lots of things planned. We've got a quiz tomorrow night on this channel at 9 o'clock between us and AFTV. Me and DT are doing a £200 million challenge spend for Arsenal, United and the top six at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Just make sure midday tomorrow you start us off on Arsenal Fan TV and it will move through United Stand. So we'll have a video in the morning to explain all of that. But let's talk about Paul Pogba to start off with then. Now, there's been a few things floating around on social media the last sort of 48 hours where people, you know these accounts that go, I've been told Pogba's about to sign a new contract. Well, look, there is an element of truth in this. Now, I've been fortunate that over the last 13 months, I've had information 3 times from within the club that they want to keep Paul Pogba, and every single time they've kept him. Remember, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said in Last Links, Flex actually asked him in the press conference that, and he said, expect to see Paul Pogba at the club next season. But does that mean that Pogba's about to sign a new contract? Well, there's a growing feeling that Pogba is closer to signing a newer contract at Manchester United than he has ever been. And I think the big thing about this, and I've said it before, is what do you think about it? Why is he doing it? And although, look, Manchester United will make no qualms about this. They want Paul Pogba to sign a new contract. The reasons for that? Well, it could be because he's a very good player. It could be because he's highly marketable. It could be about retaining his value. But they want him to sign a new contract. Whether you want him to or whether you don't want him to, Manchester United Football Club want Paul Pogba to sign a new contract. And they will give him good terms to do that. Paul Pogba, up until now, has not wanted to sign a new contract at Manchester United. He's publicly made it obvious through himself and his agent that he wants to go. But we're now living in a different world. And also, what I would say, and I'll tell you about the Koulibaly thing in a minute, but I will say this, and when I say something like this, I mean it. If United did get Koulibaly, Sancho, and kept Pogba, we will be challenging for a title in the next 2 years. And I didn't think that was possible, but you can't bring that much quality and retain that much quality with the players we've got coming through and not be challenging for a title. And I know that puts a lot of big pressure onto the team and Solskjaer, but that's quality. And we're not that far away from it. And I think the reason, one of the things about this lockdown is that when you look at United, we are getting closer to where we need to be without knowing what our philosophy is and our formation is, I agree. But the quality of player that we're looking to bring in and hopefully retain, you can see a path to where we need to get to. It's a bloody hard path, we need to get the strimmer out and get rid of the nettles and everything, but you can start to see the path, you can start to see the gate to a title. Maybe Paul Pogba can see that gate as well, but let's be cynically honest here. The reason Paul Pogba is close to signing to a new contract than he's ever been is because the world is not the same world as it was 3 months ago, 2 months ago, even a month ago. The move that was looking like Real Madrid and Juventus were going to fight it out and he just had to sit back and let Raiola do the work and stir up the pudding and make United sell him, that's gone now. Do Juventus have the money? I don't think so. Do Real Madrid have the money? I don't think so. Does Paul Pogba have options? I don't think so. So Pogba's got a situation at Manchester United whereby he was probably thinking, you know what, I have been injured, I'm genuinely injured, it's probably not happened to me at a bad time. You look at Pogba last summer, Pogba said, effectively, I want to leave. He did. He said it in June. He said, effectively, I want to leave. I want to go on to a better challenge. Raiola said Pogba wanted to leave, and that was the situation we had at Manchester United. He got injured. He didn't get his move, and what he was looking at is, I need to get back fit. I love playing for France. It's the Euros. We're the World Cup holders. I want to play in the Euros, and then after the Euros, I'm going to sit back and decide where I'm going. Now, sorry for a minute if I sound a little bit happy about what I'm about to say. Paul Pogba, Mino Raiola, their plan was get back for the last few games of the season for United, go to France, enjoy yourself, play the Euros, just say to everybody who says anything about United or Real Madrid, I'm just focusing on France for now. And then when you've had your little holiday after the Euros, push for the move you want, whether that's the contract at United, Real Madrid or Juventus. And what would have happened is United would have lost Pogba towards the back end of July and not had much time to do anything about it. Well, sorry, call me smug if I say, you can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore, and now you probably haven't got the power in this situation anymore. Now, of course, let's not be unsympathetic here. The reason this has happened is because of this virus, which is killing people. So you can't really be smug about this situation. Nobody wanted this situation to happen. But Paul Pogba isn't in control, in a footballing sense, of what his future's going to be now. So, to me, I think he's sat there, and he's got a big decision to make. Paul Pogba's got a big decision to make. Because he hasn't got the options of Real Madrid and Juventus. But he is a Manchester United player. Now, he's either got to go, you know what? I'm going to give it a go at United. I'm going to sign the new contract. I can see things going on here. It's not actually that bad for my career. Let's go for it. Or he can go, I'm going to bide my time. I'm going to have to stay another season. And I will try and go next summer. Which isn't good for us. But it is good for us because we get Pogba. But he's still going to look to go. To me, what do I want? I don't know. I don't know what I want. I mean, I was winding people up today about Pogba. I mean, but I've always liked Pogba. I do like Pogba. I'm not Pogba FC. I find that ridiculous. I think the whole I support a player more than a football club thing that we have seemed to have developed as a society in football over the last 5 years is somewhat confusing. But I don't know what I want with Pogba because I think Pogba's got to decide what he wants. And I think that's the best answer I can give. Is he going to sign a new contract? Well, I know for a fact he's closer than he's ever been. I know Manchester United for a fact want him to sign it. And the reality is the person in relation to the contract power is Pogba. He needs to decide what he wants. Do you want him to sign a new contract? I know people who would get him out of the club and don't want him here. They can't stand him. I know people who would have his kids. They love him. And I know people who think, you know what, we're better off with Pogba, but he's got to get on board first before I get on board with him. I think all opinions are valid because those people have had 3 years to make that decision. But what do I think will happen? Hey, Mark, did you hear about the story that the only reason we didn't sign Sancho last summer was because Dortmund wanted Greenwood to be part of any deal? Says Adam said, yeah, it's a total bollocks story, that is. It's a load of crap. That's just a page filler. That's not true. I did read about it today. That wasn't part... United were never going to give Greenwood up anyway, but Sancho didn't want to come to United last summer either because we weren't in the Champions League. So that's why we didn't get Sancho, and Dortmund were adamant that they weren't going to sell him anyway. So that's just a page turner. That's not a proper story. What do I think is going to happen? And this is just a prediction here, and there is a little bit behind it because I've heard a few things. I think Pogba's going to sign a new contract at Manchester United. I do. I do think he's going to sign a new contract, and the main reason I think that is, I think he was going to push for the move this summer and he was going to get the move because he knew he had the power. He hasn't got the power anymore. He's Neymar at PSG. He's Harry Kane at Spurs. He's a player that probably does want to go, but where is he going to go and who can afford to get him? So I think Pogba will take this time and hopefully Paul Pogba will sit there and go, you know what? Jadon Sancho's coming. Bruno Fernandes is a breath of fresh air. Marcus Rashford's an amazing talent. Anthony Martial is my mate and he's an amazing talent. David De Gea is one of the world's best goalkeepers. Scott McTominay's coming through. Fred's been brilliant. That back four looks good. Wan-Bissaka's one of the best right backs in the world. I can see something here. And if I was Paul Pogba, I would knock on the door of Solskjaer and say, I will sign this new contract if you bring in such and such and such and such this summer. And I would be saying, you go and get Koulibaly. You're already getting Sancho. And I tell you what, go and get Moussa Dembele from Lyon and I'll sign. That's what I would do if I was Paul Pogba. Use this to your advantage. Get the team around you at Manchester United that you always thought you were going to get. Because you've got Bruno's a brilliant signing. Sancho will be a brilliant signing. Go and ask him for a couple more and say I'll sign the contract. Because for Manchester United, if you go, it's a massive loss in marketing revenue, etc. But also they've got to deal with Real Madrid or Juventus, and they've also got to bring in a replacement. If I was Pogba, I'd get my head around that this is a good place to be. I'd get my head around that this is the place I want to be. And then I'd go into the office with Solskjaer and I'd say, I'll sign that new contract if you do this. Over the last 3 years, this club has not delivered what I expected. You deliver it, I'll stay here for another 4 years. I'll finish my career here. And that's what I would hope that would happen. Thank you, Mark and the team, for keeping us entertained with great content every day. Keep up the good work. I'm feeling excited about United's future for the first time in what feels like years, says SJ Johnson. Thanks for the contribution. Robert Anderson, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Thank you very much. And Josh Bowater says, my head says let Pogba go and use the money to bring in 2 or 3 players who will be hungry to play for the club. But my heart wants to keep him and see him play at the levels we know we can. It's interesting about Pogba. I got into an argument this afternoon, which I didn't really expect to get into, because anybody who watches the United Stand, who follows me on Twitter, you will know that I do like Paul Pogba. I do rate Paul Pogba. But Cantona, the greatest number 7, says Pogba can obviously see that United are building something, and Madrid and Barcelona need much more than Pogba. Pogba will stay, I'm sure of it. Thoughts? I'm starting to think he will stay as well, Cantona. But I'm a big fan of Paul Pogba. I'm not rants extreme, and I'm not Pogba FC, and I certainly don't hate Pogba. I've been critical of Pogba like anybody's got a right to be, because I think he is elect one of the best midfielders in the world. But I was saying on Twitter today that I was ranking our top 5 midfielders at Manchester United, and I put Bruno first and I put Pogba second. And Twitter can be quite a toxic place. It is what it is. You know, I've been on Twitter for years, so I'm not going to go, oh, it's so toxic on Twitter. Twitter is what it is. And I got so many people saying, how are you putting Pogba ahead of that Portuguese fraud? And I'm looking at their Twitter profiles, and they're Manchester United fans. I'm like, what? Hold on a minute. Have I missed something here? Has Bruno not come in and been amazing in the couple of months he's been here? And has Pogba not been ridiculously inconsistent for 3 years? How is it such an out there statement to say Bruno is a better player for United and more important for United than Pogba is? And yet I thought I was saying something. I felt like I'd said Phil Jones is better than Pogba. The reception it got was ridiculous. And I was like, whoa, I'm not even backing down on this. Bruno, if you're asking me tomorrow who I want to keep at the club, Bruno or Pogba, it's Bruno. Who's the better talent? Well, look, Pogba's probably the better talent, but it's what you do with the talent. I'm not bothered about potential. I'm not bothered about on their day. I'm talking about who's better for Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes and the irony here is, when Pogba comes back, Bruno's going to be the player that makes Pogba a better player, because Pogba will have a quality player in the midfield next to him, which he's never really had. So I want Pogba to stay, but I want Pogba to stay if he's going to stay with the right mentality. And I do think that Pogba and Bruno will be in touch with each other like no other midfielder has been with Pogba, because Bruno Fernandes is on a different level mentally. I mean, that fantastic interview with Laura Woods from Sky Sports that Flex did this afternoon, do check it out. She interviewed Bruno Fernandes only a couple of weeks ago, and she spoke, one of the first things she said, you just get how ruthless he is. You know, that coming together he had with Pep, he wouldn't say what was said, but he said Pep disrespected me, and in that moment, he said, I'd never normally do it, but in that moment, I wasn't having it. On that pitch, he's a ruthless player, and he's a talented player. He's a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds ahead of most players. Well, so's Paul Pogba, and I think they're going to bring the best out of each other. And I don't ever want to be Pogba or Bruno. I think it's so childish, because they both play for my club. They both play for our club. And I want them both to do well. And I don't ever want to be going Bruno's better than Pogba. And I don't want to have that debate, because we're a team, and that's what we should be, a team. I think where we go wrong is, and you know, I'm a fan of Martial, and I've seen it with Martial as well. We get this, I like a player better than a club. I'm too old for that. I don't understand that. I've never understood that. I would never be a player over the club. Never. But it's a modern phenomenon where you've got Neymar FC, we had Hazard FC, Pogba FC, even Mourinho FC. People who actually support a person more than they support a club. That's never going to be me. These two players can build something very special at Manchester United. I've got no doubt about it. But at the moment, if you said to me, and we do it a lot, who would you get rid of, Pogba or Bruno? It would be Pogba, because I think Bruno, in a short period of time, has shown amazing consistency and an amazing ability to make everybody better around him. Everybody's got better with Bruno in that team, which is why I'm excited for when Pogba comes back. Has everybody got better with Pogba in the team over the last 3 years? No. I think Bruno is more of a leader than Pogba, and I think Pogba will benefit from Bruno. So look, do I think he'll sign a new contract? Yes, I do. I think he will sign a new contract, and I think that will be a good thing for United. But I understand the fear. The fear is, and the reality cynically probably is, he's signing it because he can't get the move that he wants. But De Gea didn't get... I've got to say this. Is that such a bad thing? Because De Gea wanted to go. And a broken fax machine or a scammed fax machine, whatever. He didn't go. And we kept De Gea. And has he been a problem? No. So Pogba wants to go. But if he doesn't go, does he necessarily have to be a problem? What I would say is I don't want Pogba to sign a contract and then a year's time be looking for a move. And my concern about Pogba is, as we move away from Pogba, Mino Raiola. Whilst Mino Raiola is in charge of Pogba, that's always a problem. Because Mino Raiola is a businessman and he's always looking for money. And he will look to move Pogba out. And that's the problem you've always got with Pogba, is Mino Raiola. Pogba performs better when he has world-class players around him. We saw that at the World Cup, but I don't know if United will bring 4 or 5 world-class players in, says Arpenpal. Well, to me, that would, maybe it's a bit of an out-of-the-box theory, but imagine if Pogba does say, I'll sign the new contract if you get Koulibaly and a top-class striker to go with Sancho. Happy days. Win-win for United, isn't it? If Pogba stays and with Bruno, McTominay and Fred, would you say that we are just a CDM away from a very good midfield, Mojo? Well, look, as I said last night, this talk that we might be looking for a CDM is music to my ears. It's classic Queen. It's brilliant. I would love it to happen. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Adams Anacola says, someone like me who is Ollie out, I find it ironic and conflicting that our least experienced manager since Fergie left is the one that is the most likely to succeed. As I said last night, Adams, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a lucky manager. I've always said that he is... I've always said that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a lucky manager. I've said it many times on this channel. And he is lucky because many managers in his position would have been sacked in January. But the club have decided to stick with him. And what's happening with Solskjaer, the longer he gets stuck by, the better quality players he gets. I mean, you look at Mourinho, he wanted players, he didn't get them, things were going bad, and they got worse. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, things are going bad, Bruno Fernandes is here. Jadon Sancho's here. So Ollie's actually had the backing. So he's quite lucky compared to other managers. But let's not forget as well, we could still get Champions League football and have our worst ever Premier League's points total. It's not been a great season, has it? Washington Asalio says, Amar, I can't listen to Mark's agenda over Pogba anymore. Maybe if you did clean your ears out, mate, you'd listen to me that I've never had an agenda against Paul Pogba. So I don't even know what you're talking about with your capital letters. Why don't you lube them up and sit on them? Because I have not got an agenda against Paul Pogba. And if you've been listening to the show for the last 20 minutes, at what point have I got an agenda with Paul Pogba? You're thick, mate. You're not actually listening. You're just putting your capital letters up there to be toxic and create something that's not there. I'm not Ollie out. I've not been Ollie out, and I've not got an agenda against Paul Pogba. What are you going to say next? I hate Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You people are ridiculous. You people are the toxic people in society who believe nonsense without listening. I've not got an agenda against Paul Pogba. I like Paul Pogba. I've always rated Paul Pogba. I've always said that Paul Pogba is elect one of the best midfielders in the world. I've just said I want Paul Pogba to sign a new contract. But what I have said is Mino Raiola is a toxic element of Paul Pogba's life and Manchester United career. And my concern is that if he did sign a new contract, would we get this toxicity from Mino Raiola angling for a move in the future? That is not a Paul Pogba agenda. I've said that Bruno Fernandes will make Paul Pogba better. I've said that in many ways it makes Manchester United's job easier, not having to sell him and replace him. I don't understand why you're talking about a Paul Pogba agenda. Show me the quotes, because I don't know what you're talking about. So I can't come back at you other than to say you're an idiot, because I haven't got an agenda against Paul Pogba. You're on the wrong channel, you fool. Anyway, let's carry on. The Koulibaly thing is really interesting to me. Now, I don't think I mentioned it on the transfer show this morning, but I did. There was a tweet off the United stand. Let me just, before I move on. Has anyone seen Jordan Such in it? I haven't seen Jordan Such for ages either. Not seen him for a long time. Does Pogba price mean he is held to high standards? I think the media expect him to put up unreal numbers and justify this by his price tag. Pogba's stats last season were very good, Josh. They were. The goals, I know a lot of them were penalties, but he had very good stats for a midfielder last season. There are certain people who lack human brains. Let them be. Please don't worry yourself over them, says Mojo. No, I accept that, Mojo. But every now and again, exposing an idiot makes this worthwhile at times, because they come out with the capital letters and I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to let people read that I've got a Pogba agenda when I haven't got one. And I will out them when it's bullshit. If Ollie is given transfer power, would you think he's going to keep getting British players? Bruno was scouted even before Ollie at United, says Frandy Sridhar. Well, this is interesting then. So La Repubblica in Italy are actually very reliable. You know when you say a sentence and you can't back out of it? La Repubblica in Italy as an outlet are pretty decent. And they've said that Napoli have basically opened the door to a deal for Koulibaly for Manchester United or anybody else. Now this is interesting because this is not like The Sun or anything like that. This is from a pretty decent outlet in Italy. Now, Koulibaly is a player that United have been linked to. Now, I don't get why we would be going for a centre-back. And I've always said we won't sign a centre-back. In fact, I said it this week. And I don't think we will sign a centre-back. But where is this story coming from? Why is this story happening? And would I want Koulibaly? And I think some people, I said today, if you sign Koulibaly and you get Sancho and Pogba stays, you've got a title-winning side there. It'll be hard, but you have got a title-winning side there because there's so much quality in it. I'm not saying we will win a title, but that's a massive step up. And I had somebody reply to me, and they were quite right. They said, oh yeah, but you were moaning about us getting a centre-back saying it's bollocks a couple of days ago. Well, you're quite right. I did say that. But I never said I didn't want a centre-back. I said we won't sign a centre-back. Why would we sign a centre-back? It's not a priority. But are we not dealing with a situation here whereby Manchester United might be like, well, we don't want to buy a centre-back, but this centre-back's bloody world-class. Koulibaly and Harry Maguire, we've got the defence on lockdown with Wan-Bissaka, De Gea and Luke Shaw. Rio Smith, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Crit Helston says, if we get Sancho, we have another striker in the squad. Greenwood, if Pogba stays, we only need a leader in midfield. Should be priority. Next one after Sancho. And Ollie Chadwick says, hope Pogba stays. Mercurial on his day. Barcelona looking at Lautaro Martinez. So maybe his contract won't be a stumbling block for us to sign him. And Southpaw of Sport says, hi Mark, I find it hilariously ironic that some fans find it disrespectful to talk about another manager for United whilst Ollie still has the job, yet it wasn't when Van Gaal and Jose were here. And Mojo says, if Smalling and Rojo and Jones are going, then shouldn't we play 3 centre-backs with 1? So Koulibaly could come in. Yeah. I don't think it's disrespectful to talk about a new manager if you don't want this manager to be the manager. It's just an opinion. But what you've got to expect is you will get people saying it's disrespectful. I remember when Van Gaal, and I was Van Gaal out, it was in the early days of the channel, a lot of people gave you a lot of abuse. I think when you make a decision on somebody else will have a different decision. If you don't like Pogba, you're going to get a lot of hate. If you don't like Martial, you're going to get a lot of hate. If you don't like Ollie, you're going to get a lot of hate. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't have that opinion, but you will get people who have different opinions. That's just what it's all about. You're not getting Aubameyang, we're getting Partey and Koulibaly, says Zayn Yassi. Mate, you are asleep. You are sleep typing. You are typing in your sleep. You are dreaming, boy. Wake up. Zayn, wake up. And Koulibaly is too old, to be honest. Maybe someone younger like Upamecano. Oh, Alex, as a moderator, you've gone and delivered yourself an L. Sit down on it like that other person. So Alex is saying Koulibaly's too old and maybe someone younger like Upamecano. You didn't listen to the show last night, Alex. You didn't listen to the show last night. What did I say? Upamecano's injury record is worse than Eric Bailly's when we signed him. Upamecano's got lots of injury problems. He wouldn't be a good signing. Koulibaly doesn't have big injury problems. But you're right about the age. Koulibaly is a bit of a concern. Is he, 29 this summer? So, but I don't think we're going to sign a centre-back. But if United went and bought Koulibaly, I'd just stand up and applaud it and go, wow, that's a big signing. Because I think it would make us a very good side. But, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. La Repubblica, they're a decent outlet in Italy, and they're saying that Koulibaly United could happen. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with that. I am. And I think from a stability point of view, you know what? The world's in a weird place at the moment, isn't it? And I'll keep coming back to what I said. If we just sign Jadon Sancho this summer, and that's the only business we do, in or out, I won't be unhappy. Because then next season, we've got Jadon Sancho, we've still got Pogba, we've still got some stability. If we get Sancho, we sell Pogba, we bring, Pogba's going to be a very difficult thing to solve. Now, some people would say, well, we've not really had Pogba this season, and you're quite right. But this season, we've been quite bad. Apart from the last month, we've been quite bad. And who have we really played over the last month? I know we beat Man City and we beat Chelsea, but can you say we're going to be fine just because we had a good 5 weeks? Look at the whole season without Pogba and we've struggled. So we would have to bring in decent replacements for Pogba. Whereas part of me feels that this season, in many ways, is a bit of a write-off. Just the way the world's gone, the injury to Pogba. We didn't get Bruno last summer when we should have done. We got him halfway through. I think this has been a weird season, and if we can come out of it with Champions League football and start next season, we'll in a way, we'd be starting next season like we should have started this season. We'd have Bruno, we'd have Sancho, Pogba would still be here. Let's see what this is how maybe we should have started this season. So, and we'd have Champions League football. So I can deal with that. But as I said, my only problem with Pogba is always going to be who his agent is. I think he's a toxic element in relation to Paul Pogba, as it's been proved. It's disruptive. But you know what? In fairness to Mino Raiola, is he toxic or is he just the mouthpiece for Pogba? We don't know because Pogba never comes and talks about stuff like that. But Mino Raiola is more than happy to slag our club off. Welcome to Ben Mann, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Zane says, Mark Arteta develops players. He's a big reason to join us. He was coached by the master of football, plus we are the biggest club in London. Oh, he's still asleep. And Josh Bowater, isn't something like 25% of Arsenal's income from the gates? Can't see them signing anyone and having to sell some of their high earners. Josh, despite what Zane says, and he's obviously a very big Arsenal fan, I was on AFTV yesterday talking to Robbie, and we were saying that Arsenal players have turned down a pay cut. If Arsenal are asking their players to take a pay cut, how can you get players to take a pay cut for 2 or 3 months and then 2 or 3 months later go and sign new players? Their whole squad would be in mutiny. You would do, wouldn't you? Oh, wait a minute, I've took a 25% pay cut and then you've just gone and bought a new player. Why have I had a 25% pay cut when you're banking that to go and buy players? Arsenal are in big trouble this transfer window. If you listen to what's going on. Think we should go for Gabriel Margalas from Lille instead of Koulibaly. No injuries, great passing, an aggressive tackler, and 6'2", quick and rapid, says Ollie Chadwick. There's always alternatives. We should go for Thiago from Bayern over Grealish, says Mason Ag. He's quite injury prone as well, isn't he? Thiago. He picks up quite a few injuries. I remember when he went to Bayern at the start instead of us, he picked up quite a few injuries as well. The other thing I want to talk about as well, can I just keep saying this as well? I've got to keep reminding people this. Please do smash a like on the video, by the way. But can I just say this? Tomorrow we're doing a 24-hour stream to raise money for the NHS. You can get on the Just Giving page. The link is in the video description, and you can get your contributions in early if you want to. And we'll be reading out every person who does a Just Giving contribution and leaves us a comment to read out as well. But it's 24 hours we're doing this. I've done a 24-hour stream before. It's a lot of effort and it's always for a good cause. It will start at midday on Arsenal Fan TV, and every 3 hours it will change. It'll come to the United Stand at 3 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock it will go back to AFTV. 9 o'clock tomorrow night it will come back to us. We're doing the quiz against AFTV. Midnight it goes back to AFTV. 3 a.m. it comes back to us. 6 a.m. it goes back to AFTV, and then 9 a.m. Sunday morning we'll do the last 3 hours of it. We're trying to raise money for the NHS. That's the plan. So please get involved. There's not a lot to do on lockdown. I don't think it's going to be a particularly sunny day tomorrow. So if you're looking for entertainment, getting involved, maybe you want to set a personal challenge to see how many hours you can watch it all. But make sure you do join us tomorrow for that. Really excited about it. It's for a fantastic cause. We're all impacted out on it. We're all on lockdown because of it. We're all losing people or hearing about people because of it. So let's do something good. Football fans for the NHS. That's what we're doing. Apparently Sancho will only come if we have Champions League football. Do you think this is true, Mark? Says WDR Smize. And thanks for the contribution, Rio Smith. I do think it's true. And thank you, PMV Patrick, for the super chat as well. I do think it's true. I've said that we've had loads of sunny days recently, actually. Hey, Andrews. I do think it's true. I do think it's true that Jadon Sancho wants Champions League football. I've been saying this for a long time, and there's been a lot of videos and talk over the last while about Sancho's coming. Sancho's definitely coming. What I was told was what I was told the other day is that United will force themselves to the front of the queue for Jadon Sancho. They're going to do everything they can to get him. They don't want another Erling Haaland situation where they miss out. They've got the shirt, they've got the place, they want Jadon Sancho. They've made it abundantly clear to Dortmund and Jadon Sancho that they want him and they're hungry for that deal, and they'll do everything for it to happen. Dortmund and Jadon Sancho are under no illusions of how passionately Manchester United want to sign him. But no deal is done yet, because no deal can be done until the seasons are completed and people know where they're at. And Jadon Sancho, although this isn't totally known. I've always said, look at Jadon Sancho's career. He left Man City to go to Dortmund because he didn't want to sit on the bench and earn money like Phil Foden. He wanted to get first team football. That, to me, demonstrates a player of a young age with a strong head on his shoulders who wants to develop his career. He's played Champions League football for Dortmund. If he's coming back to the Premier League and he's got two options, a club without Champions League football and a club with Champions League football, I think there's a real danger he'll pick the club with Champions League football. So United need to make sure they get it. Will he come to us without Champions League football? He could do because of the enormity of the club and the opportunity and the space for him there. I think we'll get Jadon Sancho because I think we'll get Champions League football. Hi Mark, hope everything is good. Stay safe, says Hyder Saeed. Hi Hyder, hope everything's good with you as well. And Mark, I'll be donating a lot tomorrow to show you that all Conservatives are anti-NHS. Not all Conservatives are anti-NHS. It was NHS under Blair and Labour that went backwards. Political, Zane, but thanks for everybody who is going to get involved in it tomorrow. I really appreciate that. Right, I want to talk to you about this unknown striker that was rumoured from David Ornstein last night. An unknown striker coming to Manchester United, or was coming to Manchester United. A lot of you sort of cracked the code with your predictions last night. The feeling is that it was a player that was going to come for under £60 million, so it's not Harry Kane. That led to a lot of people thinking Timo Werner. I've been thinking about it, and I think a lot of you are right. I think it's Moussa Dembele from Lyon. And the reason I think it's Moussa Dembele from Lyon is because if it's a striker that we were already willing... The story was United were looking at an unknown striker before the lockdown that they wanted to get for under £60 million, and they wanted him so much they were willing to let Agallo go back even though he's done quite well. And I thought, well, there's only two strikers I can think of that you can get for under 60 million that you would look at Agallo, who's done well, and say, yeah, you're still going back to China, I want this player. And it fits in with this story we were talking about at the start of the week, that Solskjaer has his first choices and doesn't really want to go for second choices. I don't care what anybody says, there's no way Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sat in January going, Agallo's one of my first choices. That was a last-minute, last-ditch signing to bring a striker in. So I think it's Moussa Dembele, because I think for United to want to send Agallo back because they want a different striker, it's got to be Moussa Dembele, because it could be Werner, but I don't think we're in for Werner as much as I'd like us to be. I think it's Moussa Dembele, and the reason I think it's Moussa Dembele is because there's direct competition for him from Chelsea. So you've got to move early on that striker. You've got to go early. And again, it could still be Werner, but I think it's Moussa Dembele. I think the striker that United are looking at is Moussa Dembele, because to be trying to get a deal done in March, and you so want that deal that you're going to send Agallo back despite him doing well, there's got to be competition for that signing. So I think it's Moussa Dembele. That's just my feeling. I hope you're good. Haven't tuned in for a while. Just started a new job working from home, of course, says Vin Barat. Well, you should be watching us even more if you're working from home. But no, nice to hear from you, mate. Could be Chris Woods. He's a big, tall and good for long ball, says Vandy Candy. And Hadis Sayed says, Mark, what do you think about the Saudis taking over Newcastle? Do you believe we need a takeover just like theirs? I don't know. I don't know on that. I don't know. What do we think? Do we need a new... I don't know. I mean, look, I've got to be honest. I don't like the Glazers as owners of Manchester United. I don't. I don't. But we're not far away at the moment. I don't think we're far away. And if you get Sancho and we got Bruno and you get a CDM and we're looking at a striker, I mean... What more do you want other than, yeah, I want Mbappe, I want Neymar with Saudi owners? I mean, we're not actually that far off. I'd like the Glazers to go, but I don't expect them to go, and I've always wanted them to go, and it's not... Is it... I think United can still be successful if we've got the right coaches and we've got the right players, and we're not far off at the moment. So, I don't know. I would like the Glazers to go. I don't think they're good for Manchester United, but I don't. There's an opportunity for us to still do quite well, I think. But I don't. It's not that I don't want the Glazers to go. It's just I don't expect them to go, if you know what I mean. People moaning about the Saudis' human rights issues with the Newcastle takeover. Have they met Mike Ashley, says Josh Bowater. And what will happen with the youth next season? Axel, Greenwood and Williams should get minutes. Will Gomez and Chong be loaned out? Thoughts on Levitt, Lard, Galbraith, Traore, Mella, Ramzani, etc. Well, a lot of those players, Joe and Daniel, will not be Manchester United first team players. It's a law of averages. Gomez and Chong need to go on loan because they're not going to get first team football next year. Greenwood and Williams need to stay because Williams will get lots of first team football with Luke Shaw, and Greenwood will get lots of first team football as well. As for Levitt, Lard, Garner and everybody else, if they can get loan moves, that's what I think. One thing we can learn from Chelsea is get our good young players out on loan in the Championship if you're not going to use them, and we haven't used them. We haven't used them. Martial is literally Henry. We don't need a striker, says Yaz. Oh, I'm a massive fan of Anthony Martial. I would like Manchester United to bring in players that are going to be... I like Greenwood because he can play in a number of positions. I like Rashford because he can play in a number of positions. And I like Martial because he can play in a number of positions. But I think United are looking for a specialist number 9. I don't. I mean... Even Aubameyang, who we were talking about this morning, I wouldn't mind Aubameyang because he can play from the left as well. You can play Aubameyang and Martial. I don't want a striker that's just going to bench Martial if Martial has to be benched. Just watch your career mode. Good vid, says Aaron Higson. Yeah, check out the Man United career mode. I'm really enjoying it on Mark Goldbridge. That's football. Would I consider John McGinn, says Josh Healy. I think at the start of the season I really liked the look of John McGinn from Villa, but he's been injured for a large proportion of it. And I think he had to have an amazing breakout season to get a move to a top 6 club, and I don't think he's had that. So I wouldn't be opposed to us signing him, but I don't think we will be looking at him. Mark, save this super chat. We will win the league, says Yazza Side. But when? What year, Yazza, will we win the league? It could be Raul Jimenez, says Harris. It could be Raul Jimenez, and I wouldn't be opposed to Raul Jimenez. To me, if we bought Jimenez, Werner, or Moussa Dembele, I wouldn't be unhappy with any of those 3 players. I really wouldn't. Right, we'll call it a night because I've got a 24-hour stream tomorrow to be involved in. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. We'll have a transfer show going up at about 10:30, and then 3 o'clock tomorrow we've got our first stream, but it starts on AFTV, which I'll give you the link for in the morning. The link is in the video description if you want to start on the Just Giving page. It'd be nice to have a rolling start in relation to the money that we've raised. All of it will go to the NHS. That's what we're doing. Lots planned tomorrow. It's something that's going to take up time in the lockdown that we can all get involved in. Loads and loads of things. A lot of it's going to be interactive. We've got a few sort of things that we've got planned, but I want it to be interactive. If anyone's seen me do a live stream before, it's massively about you lot, and we'll be doing all sorts. There'll be live United news because there always is, and there'll be things like over or underrated, and we'll give you names of players and we'll discuss that. We'll do player battles. I can tell you that one of them is Rashford versus Raheem Sterling, who's the better player. Lots of plans, lots of things planned. So make sure you join us tomorrow for that. Smash a like on the video, subscribe if you are new, and you can check out Mark Goldbridge, That's Football career mode, if you need to watch a bit of exciting football that you don't know the result to. And I'll speak to you later.